Hello, hello, hello. Just getting set up here. A little tardy. Not that I have a million viewers who are interested, but nonetheless, I do have a schedule. So tonight would be hobby night. And I will be, let's see here. First I gotta change up all the tags and what have you. Hobby progress. 4. That is a percent sign, not the number 5. And we'll be doing some painting tonight. Again, that's what I have to do, so. Okay, that's good enough. Alrighty. Let's see here. Everything seems to be in order. I guess we wait now for somebody to show up. Let's get these guys out of here. Don't want them to get knocked off the table. We do have to do some rolling. And I'll get to that in a moment. Hey, we got one viewer. I think. Alright, so we got a little bit of rolling to do. Let's get that out of the way. So, Sunday I had rolled up the campaign turns as I do ahead of time. And we got the quest. And the quest was for, let's see here. Right here, somewhere in here. Okay, we rolled up a quest. It was oldest kin was let's see, not that it matters, but we were, where is it? So right here, this campaign turn 4. We were going to explore the quest location we had rolled up. We ended up rolling up a quest during our contracts, or our contacts phase. So we have to decipher ancient scripts in the Riadan. Let's see here. So our adventure, decided adventure, we're going to explore a location, the Riadan, traveling to the plane. We got the quest location in the Riadan, and we were going to face off against Oldest Kin, Raider Brood. We rolled out the number of enemies and the leadership. We ended up with a sergeant. And it's going to be no terrain theme because it is a site battle, so it ends up being a dungeon, basically. So I didn't roll up a terrain theme because none of the terrain themes have anything to do with dungeons. So I'm just going to pick Cavern. Seems to be where some lizard folk would hang out. But, so I got my Cavern Terrain. I'll show that off in a minute during the hobby update stuff. But let's go ahead and go to, where is it? Scenario. We got one thing I need to roll up right now. So I got, there we go. So we got what all the exploration tokens are, and they're all basically, where is it? Hazards, traps, or people, or loot, essentially. So I'll come up with a few hazard trap tokens of some sort. I haven't quite got there yet. And I've got extra lizard folk I printed out. I'll show those in a bit too. But there is one roll right here during step 3, first move. It says I'm going to select a warband member, he's going to make a move, and then I roll on this table. And then I do whatever this is. Now this can add a whole lot of things that I don't have minis for. So we're going to roll this table now, before we do the deployment and exploration markers setup. We're going to roll this first, just to know what we have. It's more so I know if I roll, for instance, a unique foe, I'll know what that foe is. Ahead of time I can get the model for it. other than that, and then there's skeletons. I could roll the 3 skeletons, and then I would get those models ahead of time. So we're going to roll this first, just to see what we get. Of course I didn't bring a pencil in here. Got a bunch, though. Grab a pencil real quick. If I can reach without the mic snapping off my shirt. And what I plan to do is edit out the videos at some later date. I've got a full plate, but I want to edit down the videos a little bit, condense them, because my videos tend to ramble on for like 3.5 hours. So I'm going to edit them down and probably cut out all of my campaign phase stuff, maybe, or I might make it a separate playlist on YouTube or something. So this particular thing here we're about to do, I will edit it out of this video and stick it into the other video, just so it's all there. But anyways, so let's go ahead and give myself a pause, just so I know where I'm at. We got the dice up there. It's going to be what, a D100 here. Pull these out. Alright, so things in the shot. And we go ahead and just pause. Alright, so now we're going to roll off sight reaction table ahead of time, just so I can prepare my models. So we've got sight reaction table, or just sight reaction, equals be a 1D100. There's going to be the sound of a baby monitor in the background. I apologize for that. Alright, let's see what we get. For sight reaction, we've got a 5. Just another day on the job. No special anything. Which is good. Well, that solves that. Okay, and we're done. So that was that. No bonus rules. Perfect. We get that out of here and move on to our hobby update. So, let's get rid of this camera too. I don't need this camera anymore. So, hobby update. I've printed out a bunch of stuff that isn't necessarily going to be in this particular mission, but we've got it. So, we've got a lot of bits and bobs. First, we've got a palisade I've been working on. And we've got, I got a lot of cleaning up to do. This is fresh off the printer. I was going to use this for the camp raid, for the camp, but I never ended up using it. So I think what I'll do is I'll save this for whenever I raid a hideout. This will be, if it's like, you know, men or something, as long as it's not like weird zombies or something. I will use this as the hideout. So I got enough to do a decent palisade. Bunch of pieces, I just put them together. So that's that. I printed these out. These little Barbarian Tents. Might have gotten these off of Thingiverse. I think I did. Terrain for Print. Puts out some good free stuff. Camera's not gonna. So this was just printed on FDM. It's good enough for what it is. You can't go inside of it. But I was gonna possibly put these in the cave as lizard folk domiciles. I have 3 of them. I haven't decided if I'm going to use them for a quick scale. Here is my avatar, Edelvar, or not Edelvar, it's a different guy. Baden, standing in front of one of these tents. They're pretty big. There he is. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. There he is standing up next to one. Oops-a-daisy. Don't drop these. These are friggin' resin. Just break them to pieces. There he is. Let's see. Oh. They do for good little tents. So. Now, bits and bobs. For our Decipher Scripts quest, we've got these standing stones that look pretty good. And I'm going to just paint them up and then do, if anybody's ever played 40k and has done scrawl work on any armor plates, where you just do a squiggly line and it looks like script, that's what we're going to do on these. So that'll be for the, actually maybe I never primed them. I should have primed them, and I could have done it tonight. I've also made my own unknown enemy tokens. It's just a question mark with a little floaty stand, so I can have an upright question mark. Made a couple of those. Don't need any of them in this next mission. I made some unaware tokens. Just a U and a closed eyelid. It's hard to see because the camera doesn't want to focus. Well, you can kind of see it. Just a U and a closed eye. I made 6 of those. And then I made a Sentry Token, which is just an X with an S. It's kind of hard to see. Alright, and did I make any other tokens? Yeah, and then I printed out, these are Sable Badger. You can get them free on Thingiverse. Just some of the exploration markers. I'm doing the little things of bags and barrels and what have you. These ones have numbers on the shield. That's number 1. And then he also does these question mark treasure chests. There's a question mark up there. You probably can't see it. Let me get the camera to focus. I can't get the camera to focus ever. Focus on the back of my hand. Yeah, it just wants to focus on the background. Well, anyways, there's a question mark on the lid, and then there's a number of skulls that determines what number marker it is. So look up Sable Badger on Thingiverse, find him, and you can get these tokens. They're pretty good for free. Then I got some camp tents, some camping stuff, chopping blocks, cook kettles. I've got a whole bunch of boxes. This is all 15mm, by the way. These tokens are a little bit larger. They seem a bit bigger next to the models, but they're just exploration markers, really. So just a bunch of camping stuff here. We've got some stones in here, just because why would I go out and get actual stones when I can print plastic ones inside my house without going in the sunlight? So we got those. We've got these little bases of stones for like cavern floors, which I haven't decided if I'm using. Got some stalactites, or stalagmites, depending on how I do them. Some stumps, some tree branches, some bushes. The only thing that may come into effect for the coming up game will be the stalactites, stalagmites, and rocks. I may make little... Let me show you, actually. This is a hobby update, so... Hobby progress update. I may make... So I had done these stands with the fallen trees and like rocks and bushes. All I did was go on Tinkercad and make a little design, and then I print it out at like 0.8mm, just a couple layers of plastic, and it makes a little flexible base. This just holds up better than cardboard when you put glue on it for when I flock it, because cardboard curls up if you put glue on it. This doesn't, as long as you go a little bit light on the glue. So it actually curls up a little bit, I'm noticing, on some of them. But anyways, I've got some small ones that I might just glue some of these stalactites. Some of these, just glue some stalactites down. Then get, maybe some rocks. And make little bases of hazardous terrain. You can kind of see what's going on there. So, I may do that, but as you'll see in a second when I bring over the board as is, I already have board pretty well filled out with the other stalactites and mites that I had printed. And it covers the board, I think, enough. I may or may not do that. At least the obstacle and environmental hazard, I might make one or two of those doing that, and that's what I'll consider it. But anyways, here's the board. This is what we're going to be painting tonight, all this stuff I have primed. So here's the cavern board. I painted the board up a little bit ago. But what I've got here is, and we're going to have to detach the camera. Okay. Actually, you know what? Leave this in place. What I'll do instead is I still have the other camera here. This camera right here. It's on like a pistol handle too. So let's blow this up. We'll take a quick look. It's actually a pretty decent webcam. I mean, honestly don't really know what's good and what's not good, to tell you the truth. But there's the board. This thing's a USB plugged in, so it's already, as you can see, it's already pretty well filled out with cavern walls and some stalactites, stalagmite formations, and already has a little bit of some of these little areas of rock, as you can see. So this is going to be our cavern that we're going to be facing off against the lizard folk, or oldest kin, sorry. And we'll get a close-up on some of these. So that's like a model's eye view, looking down the cavern. So that's the terrain we've got so far. Let's go ahead and do that shit. Go ahead and get rid of that. There we go. So just set this thing back up. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is see how fast I can paint that stuff up. Because I still have to paint up what I'm about to show you. Drop the mic. Drop the mic. And let's get this out of here. Come back to that. Okay, and there we go. And we've got our lizard folk. Whoa, he fell right off. And 16. I did 16 lizard folk. I feel like 16 is probably going to do it. I shouldn't have more than 16 on the table. If I have more than 16 on the table, there's only 7 of us, we're in some pretty deep trouble. Alright, so I want to get a piece of paper just to hold behind it, see if I can get this thing to focus. I got a piece of like cardstock. One second, let me take a drink of water here. Alright. So let's go ahead. Oh, this one's kind of crummy. Let's get him back in there. And then, so we got 16 lizard folk. My little paint racks I made. The actual paint handles are for regular size models, and I shrunk it down for 15 mil. So let's take a look at a few of them. These are Artisan Guild Gold Moth. So let's bring the camera down. So came out pretty good for 15. Let's get the. We'll just look at a couple here. That's the same guy. Let's get this one. Let's get the sergeant here. Where's the sergeant? There you are. Alright, so let's see here. So they came out pretty good for 15 mil. think I have to bring this all the way down. Of course, the cord's going to fall all over the place. Alright, there we go. Still no. Down here, I guess. That's about as good as I can get it, right? That's pretty good. That focused. So there he is. Detail retained fairly well. You can still see some curve of muscle. I'm probably just gonna didn't blast this dude's undercoat. Probably just gonna paint these dudes green with some brown for possibly beige for cloth colors. Probably beige, so it stands out better. And then gold and jewelry if they have any jewelry on. Some of them do. And these weapons I'll make out of wood with bone for the spiky parts. That's one of them. Here is, there's some Javelin Throwers, so I kind of had to mess around a little bit and attach javelins to the back, or spears to the back to make these ones Javelin Throwers. This is apparently supposed to be a lady lizard. So that's that one. We've got just a shield and mace dude. And then lastly we'll show the sergeant. This guy's going to end up being the sergeant. I only did one of him. He's got the frill and the axe and the shield. So, there we go. We got 16 of these dudes that we got to paint up. Should be fairly quick, as the majority of it's just going to be green. Just going to do a thick coat of green, and then that'll be safe. Thick coat of green, and then touch up the spots of like brown and cloth, basically, or bone, cloth and bone, same color for me, anyways. Is that it for probably progress? Seems to be it. So everything's primed that needs priming. If I want to do a little bit more extra terrain on that board, if I have time, I will do some of those little terrain features with the little plastic bases. Add a little ground cover, some sand, and then stick on some stalactites, mites, and rocks, just to give a... Oh, and then possibly I might place one or two of these, maybe three, all three, I haven't decided, of those tents down. But there we go. That was that portion of the hobby update. Get rid of this. Now what we need to do is paint some caverns. So I think we'll start by, first of all, getting all of this stuff off of my workspace. I don't know where the rest of them are, but I had them printed out, some river sections here. Those will eventually become river sections. I got a bunch of them. But whenever I come across the river, so I'll have some stuff ready to go. That would be all that terrain can get put over no space. I just tidied this up. I need to tidy it up again. Right here, I guess. You go there. You go there. Now I need to grab all of these walls. Start with them. They'll probably be the easiest. It should be fairly simple to just slap paint on these walls quickly. I might need to run and get one thing before I do painting. I think I'll start flashing this. Boom! And that'll be, I just did it, so I'll probably stop it, but that'll be my, for later on when I do cuts. Actually, I'll probably cut that out, so. End of statement. Alright. So, what's cool about these things too, these ones that have the roofs, is I can put them that way, and then I can put another one that way, and it's going to look different on the board, so I can use two of the same model. I forget where I got those. Some sort of Cavern Terrain from somewhere. Okay, so that's what big mass of stuff's what we're going to print. So I'm going to run and get my handy dandy paper plates. For when I do terrain, I put my paint on paper plates. So I'll be right back. Oh, you know what? I'll be right back on that. Hey, and somebody else showed up. Of course they show up just as I leave. Alright, so now, gotta get my color palette here. Okay, I'm gonna be using probably just Apple Barrel. Cheap Walmart paints. Like I said, we'll start with the cabin walls. Now this desk is brandy new, so I would like to put down some cardboard or something so I don't get paint on the new desk. It's going to eventually happen, but I'd like to delay it as long as possible. Well, that's got my address on it. So let's flip it to that side. That's better. Any of these other ones have my address on it? No. We got some bits of cardboard. Alright. Over there. Alright, let's get the color palette. And we're going with, may or may not need some black. Big bottle of black. I will need darker brown, lighter brown, darker brown, lighter brown. I will need dark red, gray, yellow. What else? Maybe some green. Yeah, green. Green and yellow will give it more of a water caverny feel. Alright, so we got some dark gray, or some medium, actually it's fairly light, but some lightish gray. We got some dark red, we got a little bit of yellow and a little bit of green. And then white. Alright, we got our color palette. Get these over out of the way. We're going to start with the brown. I'm probably not going to need any black. We'll be needing the brown. So, paintbrushes. If I have them. I must. There we go. I got these brushes from Elga Water Washable Resin. Comes with little brushes. So that's what I've been using for my terrain. Let's get rid of these pieces of cardboard. Over here. Let's see here. So let's get the cardboard. About there. That's good. Alright. Now I paint. I need to get music of some sort. I don't know what I'm legally allowed to do or what copyright strike nonsense. I've never gotten into that, so I have no idea. Oh, we need one more thing, paper towel. And water for that matter. I can use this dirty water from before. This is week old dirty water from my previous paint session. That will do just fine. These caverns can be dirty. They are caverns. Alright. So I'll try to find. I've been listening to ambience music, ambience. Just while I'm like writing narratives and what have you. And I'll have to find some stuff I can play while I'm doing this, just for background. There's fantasy stuff and sci-fi stuff. So depending on what I'm doing right now, I'd do fantasy stuff. I think that'd be cool. I meant to look at it this week and I forgot. Alright. We are set up. Alright, let's just grab it and go. It's going to take a long time, so. Just nice, heavy. And we're not really trying to. I guess I'm kind of trying to match the cavern board I had just showed. Kind of trying to match that. So, and as I paint, I'm going to find bits of stringing from my printing process. Some of this stuff's got strings and zits and warts and all kinds of stuff all over it. I'm not too worried. You're only really going to see it when I'm painting it. Once it's on the board and the board's filled, you're not going to notice. Nobody will notice it. So I'm not too worried. Plus, time is a factor. I might have a time crunch. I might end up having to do once every 2 weeks in order to get everything done. I'm not so sure I'm going to get those lizard men painted. I got all the lore written up though, so I got the lore for what had happened. The terrible loss at the camp raid. We got pretty much stomped on by those organized robbers. But to be fair, we only had one guy who had 1 day of wound time, so he's already back up and running, and nobody died. I had to use all of my silver tree leaf. I had to use all of that, but nobody's dead. I don't think anybody had to use luck. So can't really complain. Still got 7 warband members. Not too bad, considering. So we're going to start with 7 on the table, and I think we're going to start with 7 on the table, and they're going to start with 8 on the table. So I'm not really worried about coverage. I don't mind if the black shows through. This crafts paint isn't the best. I'm putting it on kind of thick to be fair, but even so, it's still not the best. But, like I said, I don't mind if a little black shows through. This is going to be a quick, dirty, get them on the table. I might even skip some of the other colors. Some of the yellows and... well, maybe not the yellows. I like the way yellow looks on the cavern walls. I forget how many there were. That was 2 I've done. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 18. There's 18 of them, so I've got 2. Just to keep track of it in my mind, because there's a lot to do. Isn't it long? So I was feeling awfully nostalgic. I've been listening to Lord of the Rings. I got it on audiobook now. I was listening to it, and it made me want to play the Lord of the Rings collectible card game from back in '95. I think it went 95 to 98. I forget exactly when it went to. But I remember when it came out, like a year or 2 after it came out, and the booster boxes were super cheap. And me and my friend bought a bunch and started playing it. And I was listening to the Lord of the Rings book, and it made me want to break out all my cards, so I did. It's fun to go over. I mean, it's a dead card game, but it's still pretty cool to go over that stuff, look at it again. I might start collecting. It's the channel's Death by Hobby, so there could possibly be in the future some of me showing off that game. I think there are some homebrew solo rules. It's very easily adapted to solo gameplay. So if there isn't any rules out there, I'm almost positive there is. But if there isn't, or I can't find them, I will. I'll just make some up myself. This is going to be a long, tedious paint job. I was going to either do this or paint figs, but I had painted figures last hobby update. I'm trying to do different stuff as best I can between hobby updates. So, not that anyone's watching them. Actually, somebody on YouTube made a comment on one of the videos. So somebody watched one of these on YouTube. So somebody's watching them. At least one person. I don't know what on earth I'm going to do for the next hobby update. I guess it depends on what the scenarios and what have you are going to be. If I can't get everything ready by Saturday, I'll try and play it Sunday instead. And if that's the case, I'll probably have to go to once every 2 weeks. Ideally, now if this was a perfect world and I had plenty of free time, I got an okay amount considering, but I don't know if I have enough to do this particular project I have in mind. Campaign game a week, and all the printing and painting of everything in between. Once I get a good base of terrain and a good base of models, it should be a lot easier. I should have to do less and less every time. But until then, I might have to push it to once every 2 weeks, just to give myself the time to get everything prepared. I will not, unless for some reason I roll it up in the middle of a battle, I will not put anything gray on the table. And I use all gray FDM filaments and resins, so it still is gray. I don't have a pile of red shame or blue shame. Still just a pile of gray shame. But we'll see. If I can keep up with it, awesome. But if I can't, then it's going to get pushed to once every 2 weeks. So in the game right now, I have my little calendar system. I started off in late autumn, and I did that because I didn't want to have to print canopies for all those trees I had in the last battle. But now, because it is late autumn, we've played a little bit and gone through some campaign turns, and some time has gone by because I've got a little system for dating stuff as I go. It's going to be, by the time I have my next battle, it'll be winter. And so what I'm going to do is, probably next hobby update, almost certainly, I'll be doing, unless I end up with another site battle and I'm indoors, but if I'm outdoors, I'll be doing a snowboard. Putting together a quick snowboard. I might do, all my boards tend to be double-sided, so I might do a partial snow on one side and a full snow on the other. I won't be able to do that in the same stream because the stuff I use is going to take some time to dry. But I basically use white paint, white glue, and baking soda. White paint, you gotta put the white paint in because baking soda can yellow over time. White paint, white glue, baking soda. Mix it up so it's a little bit muddy and chunky. Just make sure it's thick enough to be able to stipple. So once you spread it out, I usually just spread it out with my fingers and come over with a brush and stipple it, and it gives it a good enough appearance of snow, especially at this scale. Everything at this scale is easier. I'm very glad I'm going with 15 mil. I really want to start my 5 parsecs game. I really want to do some 15 mil sci-fi stuff. I think it would be really fun. But there's absolutely no way I could do 1 game a week parsec and 1 game a week Borderlands. There's absolutely no way I could get that done. I might have to do a second coat. Nah, probably not. Yeah, it should be alright. Should go a little heavier, but it's drying a little bit more transparent than I thought it would. But, honestly, it should be fine. So, the plan here is coat of this brown. Gonna end up looking a bit of a dark brown because it's one thin coat over a black base. So it'll look dark brown. Then I'm going to go over with a light brown and a fairly heavy dry brush. And then I'll probably go over in a little bit lighter of a dry brush with the gray, the lightish gray. Actually, I wonder if I have dark gray somewhere. I think I have a dark gray. Hold on. I thought I had a darker gray. Yeah, I do. Alright. Yeah, we'll use that dark gray as opposed to... Sorry, I got a paintbrush in my mouth. Yeah, we'll use this dark gray. That dark gray will look a lot better. So get the coat of dark gray, and then I get to go in and do spots of red, green, and yellow. Then, if I have time or if I want, I'll go over the whole thing with a very, very light dry brush of white. But we shall see what the time says. I didn't want to go much past 11, but looking at the time, I may have to if I want to get these done. Almost certainly we'll have to go past 11 to get this done. But anyways, speaking of the Lord of the Rings game, I printed out a whole bunch of card checklists. So right now what I'm doing is I'm going through what I have, seeing what I need. I'll probably make a few purchases. There's still one site that's up that you can get singles. I'd like to flesh out the collection, and then I may or may not get into some solo gameplay. I'll have to play it by myself first. I mean, I can play any game solo. I've played 40K by myself. I've played Dungeons and Dragons solo. I play everything solo. Nobody up here to play with. Or nobody I want to play with, anyways. Bit antisocial. But anyways, I think somebody has come up with it. The game lends itself to solo rules pretty easily. So if there isn't, I'm pretty sure I found some solo rules for that game online before. That is the Middle-earth collectible card game from 1995. I was looking online at some of the prices of booster boxes, and they're like $300 a box. A little bit much. A little too much for me. Singles are still within the realm of possibility. I don't care. I'm not trying to... Ooh, almost dropped my thing of water. That's gonna move. I'm not trying to make the best deck possible. I just want to have enough cards to make a fun deck. And eventually play with my kid when he's old enough. So I can get some commons and uncommons. They're like a quarter a piece, or 75 cents for an uncommon. So, but I have a pretty good collection as it is. I almost have one of every card. I'm missing like 20 cards maybe from the first set. All rares, so that'll cost a little money if I want to get one of each of them, but we shall see. eBay has some singles here and there as well. And then it made me remember all the old card games I used to play with that same said friend. And another good one is Hecatoon. So I looked up that as well today. And that is far more reasonably priced. There was only two expansions and then the core set. But those are $60 a box. Between $50 and $60 a booster box, which is much cheaper than $300. And that is something I may buy some booster boxes of. If I do, there could very well be opening up boxes of that stuff on this. Now that's a cool game, Hecatoon. If you never played it, it's got pentagon-shaped cards, 5-sided cards, and they stack up on each other, and each side adds to the sort of like building a monster, kinda. And each previous, and they're transparent plastic cards. They're not cardboard. So that way, when you're looking at the card and they're transparent, you can see through them, and you build up the creature, monster, whatever you want to call it. The first set had a lot of Cthulhu-themed stuff, which is awesome. Because I'm a fan of Cthulhu stuff. I'm a fan of H.P. Lovecraft's world. I went through and read all of his stuff, I don't know, a year ago. I'd never been into it before, but for some reason it just hit me that I wanted to know everything about the Cthulhu mythos. So I went and I digested everything he wrote. He didn't write that much, honestly. He wrote, a fair amount of stuff, but he didn't write that much. I was able to get through it all in like 2 weeks. But other people have run wild with it, but nothing really quite captures his... Nobody ever really got to his style. I don't know what it was about. It was probably the era he was writing in, the 20s, I think it was. I'm not sure if it was 20s, 30s, 40s. I think it was 20s. It might have been 30s. But no one ever really captured his style properly, as far as I know. If for some reason somebody watches this lengthy nonsense video and hears this, if they could just tell me if they happen to know who writes like H.P. Lovecraft. I am desperate for more. Mountains of Madness was like a really good story. Actually, as a matter of fact, during that time I printed, anybody who's familiar with Mountains of Madness. Let's see here. Can I reach it without disconnecting? Yeah. Anyone who's familiar with Mountains of Madness, there's the little Cthulhu statue that they find. And I printed it out on my printer and painted it up. So I have Cthulhu. He sits on my desks and judges me. Pretty cool. Painted it up like that green stone as described in the book. But yeah, so Hecatoon, anyways. The first set's all Cthulhu mythos. I never bought any of the second set. I don't know. I think we played it when it first came out, like the year it came out, and then just stopped playing it. They came out with 2 other sets, but we never got into them. And then it died after that third set. So, no longer in print. But, like I said, those other sets are $60 a pop for a booster box. So I already have some of the first set, because I'm a pack rat and I don't throw anything out. So I have these cards from 20 years ago still. I've never played them after that one time I played them. So I'll have to dig those out, and I might buy a booster box or two. I don't think that game really lends itself to solo play, though. That would be a tough one. I've played Magic the Gathering by myself before, but I don't think Hecatoon is something I'd do. But it'd be fun to just go through them and open it up, and maybe somebody who's never seen it before sees it and says, "Oh, that's neat." And then they go out and buy their own $60 booster box and play with their friends. Boy howdy, we got a long way to go. This is just the wall terrain. I think I'll go... The stalactites and stuff, I'm going to paint all the same. So what I think I'll do is I'll actually just go right. So when I'm done, I'm just going to paint it all the same. So get this done, and then we'll move on to those. Just doing this right down the line. But this is really all I have to do for a full board. I guess I don't have to finish. This is something I can do with my kids too. They're 4 and almost 3. So one's 4 going on 5, and one is 2, but he's almost, he'll be 3 in June. So he's coming up on 3. But they like it when I pull out my painting stuff. I put a piece of paper down for them, and whatever colors I happen to be using, I put them on a plate for them, and they like to just paint on the paper while I do this. So, if I don't finish this today, I could probably finish it tomorrow night with the kiddos. And then when the kiddos go to sleep, I can paint up the figures, the lizard folk. And then if I paint up the lizard folk and I paint up all this terrain right here, that's all I need to do for the encounter. It's just those lizards. I don't know how long those lizard folk are going to take. This I can already see I'm not going to finish it tonight. And I can't stay up too late because I got 3 kids I watch. I'm a stay-at-home dad. And I got 3 kids I got to watch tomorrow, one of which is a 3-month-old who mom just finished her maternity leave and is back to work. And now I got to deal with a cranky 3-month-old who doesn't like me. Pretty sure she doesn't like me. She does not like drinking out of bottles either. So it's been fun. Pretty tired today. Today was a rough day. Today was a half day too. It was a rough one. We'll get there. I did this with the other 2 as well. Although I'll say this on camera. She, so far, is the crankiest of the 3 at this age. So far. It's too soon to tell, though. And it's not easy coming up with stuff to ramble about for a couple of hours. Usually when I'm playing the games, I ramble about the games. This, I gotta just ramble about basically what I'm doing all day. See, the problem here is I'm painting everything a coat of brown right now. So, drop you on the floor. So it's kind of hard. I can't really tell, there's no point in me telling you what I'm going to do next. Because you know what I'm going to do next, so why would I talk about it? Okay, now let's paint this cavern wall brown. Yeah, painted, and then let's paint this cavern wall brown. Let's see, you can't really talk about what I'm doing currently because I'm painting everything brown right now. So what do I talk about for 2 hours? Possibly 3 hours. Yeah, I'll probably be on till midnight. I can talk about what I'd like to do for my little series, my little 5 Leagues from the Borderland series. We can go over that. So here's in my I think I started this and I go on tangents. I get lost on the side streets a lot. So here's my ideal scenario would be what I'm doing now, once a week, which this is about the maximum workload I can take for this sort of stuff. So once a week, I play my tabletop battle, run my campaign turns, and then throughout the week I do this. What I'd also like to do is, if this was a perfect world and I had a lot of time and no kids, I would like to do little scenes for the narratives that I read out, which I think would really add a lot. So I can always do that later too. I don't even have to do that right now. I can do that later. I'll have the videos. So I'm considering that. That would be a nice little touch. So basically, what would happen is when I do the opening of my Saturday game day, where I read off the narrative, I would like to, first of all, I'd like to edit those videos for YouTube, because they're way too long. A lot of me just rolling dice and what have you. So I'd like to edit those into actual, still going to be like hour-plus videos, but at least I'll cut out a lot of the nonsense. Edit those down, and then for the beginning of those videos, when I'm reading off that narrative, I'd like to do scenes specifically just to do with the narrative. So, like, for instance, my first 2 campaign turns that I did after Warband creation, he was traveling from the city, the Edinburgh, to the first site he was going to, the first town, which was Sovereign Ball. So he was talking about that in his journal entries that I was reading off. So what I could have done is come up a little road, put some guys on horseback or something, traveling down the road, and just take a still shot of that and put that up while I'm reading the narrative. And then, whenever I need to switch a scene, I'd make it again. And then I thought that would be good. That would be fun. I'd like. But that's a lot of work for just 2 minutes of narrative at the beginning. I have to specifically paint terrain for that, paint it up, take the photos. That's a lot of work for just that. So, but ideally, that's what I'd like to do. So maybe one day, 20 years from now, and nobody's playing this anymore. Everybody's got their VR goggles and are LARPing instead of playing this. Maybe that's when I'll do that. Provided the robots haven't taken over first. That's one thing I will not be talking about on this channel. Is anything to do with conspiracy theory stuff. Or what is considered conspiracy. I won't get into it, but because I'm not going to get into it. This is a fun channel. There's a million channels out there if you're interested in that stuff. But I've got some out there views. But that will not be discussed here in any way, shape, or form. Because this is a channel about hobbying. The noble pursuit of painting tiny miniatures and fighting them on an imaginary battlefield that you make out of styrofoam and cardboard. What could be more important? Alright, we'll put the brown on 3 more walls. Then on all of the stalactite parts. It's looking like the first couple are just starting to dry now. I'm gonna have to get a fan in here. I mean, I still got a ways to go before I'm done with the brown, but really kind of globbing it on here. Really going for the one coat. I am very glad I found this game. I'm using here. This is 5 Leagues from the Borderland, I'm saying. Specifically this 3rd edition, which is great. I did really enjoy the 2nd edition, all the supplements, though. But this 3rd edition is fantastic. I'm very curious. I'm just glad I found a solo game. This has got some decent, solid solo rules. It was written for solo, so it's got to have some good solo rules. Before I was playing to get my fantasy fix, because now that I'm struck out on my own, moved away from my old friends and groups, no longer get my fantasy fix with D&D. So I would do D&D solo for a little while there, which isn't hard to do. Got a lot of randomized tables. I played 3rd and 1st edition Dungeons and Dragons. 3rd edition I had a lot of stuff written up for soloing. Anybody, that's a lot of crap on there. I should have cleaned that up. Too late now. If anybody is a 1st edition player, you'll note the random dungeon generators on the back. So basically, I took that and ported it over to 3rd edition best I could. And the world I had made for my old group, I'm always the DM wherever I can be. The world I made for my old group, I already had a lot of tables written up and custom random encounter tables for specific regions and what have you. So I could adventure in that world with all the tables I had, and the random dungeon generator, and basically get a full game out of it, doing it randomly. There wasn't any quests or anything or any overarching theme, but I could go randomly generate a dungeon and dive it. And then I also came up with urban tables where you could roll up for, and all these random tables were also usable in my actual game if I were to ever play another one. I haven't played one since, but alright, ever run another game, I've got tables galore. So for walking around town, I got tables and rules. So all that said, just basically I'm pretty glad I found this actual solo game. And I get to do this fun narrative writing and stuff I'm doing. And it's a reason to print a bunch of tiny little miniatures, which is always fun. I'm definitely a miniatures addict. And I'm glad I'm off of the Warhammer. Ooh. Warhammer's a hell of a drug. I collected every single army, except Craftworld Eldar. And these are not small collections, these are full armies, 2,000 plus points. And I collected every single one of them except Craftworld Eldar, and I didn't have any, what are they called? Harlequins. I didn't have Harlequins, I didn't have a Craftworld Eldar. Other than that, I had every other army and 2,000 point plus armies. Chaos, Space Marines, I probably had the most of. I had all the old stuff, and I was just buying up the new stuff that was coming out. I got a vast collection of that stuff. So, I had been collecting that stuff, and GW just kept raising the prices on me, and coming out with new books every year and a half. And then I eventually got sick of it. I wasn't playing enough to warrant me spending the amount of money and time I was on it. So, and I'm talking every week. I would take a portion of my check when I was working back then, before I had the kids. A portion of my check would go towards Games Workshop. It was almost budgeted in. $50, $100 a week, or whatever I could spare. Was going towards Games Workshop stuff. So eventually I finally said, you know what, I'm done. So I stopped buying it, and then it was just taking up all the space in my office. Everything was Games Workshop. So I eventually got fed up with them and all their bad business practices and boxed everything up. It's now all in the basement. And I'm talking 10, 15, maybe 20,000 points of Chaos. I'd say up close to 10,000 points of Vanilla Space Marines. 6,000 Dark Angels. 3,000 Tau. Maybe 5,000 Nids. I mean, I had it all. Large armies of all of it. My smallest collection was probably Space Wolves. I think I had just barely had a 2,000 point army. I had just enough for a 2,000 point. But boy, man, that stuff. What originally got me on this was Warhammer's a hell of a drug, and man, I'll tell you it is. But I cut that off. Cold turkey. You gotta go cold turkey with Warhammer. You can't collect Warhammer a little. You gotta go cold turkey on Warhammer. So everything's in the basement. I don't even look at it anymore. Probably $50,000-$60,000 worth of models over the course of my life, maybe more. In the basement. Probably never to see the light of day. I'll wait till my kids are old enough and they might ask about it, and I'll say, you know what? I got a whole bunch of stuff for you. And I'll pass the addiction on to them. Like a good father. I don't drink, so they won't learn that from me, but they will learn collecting miniatures. Anyway, so I do have a miniatures addiction. So let's go full circle here and get back to the original point of this. I have 4 Ender 3s. And that's for terrain. That's where all of the terrain I have came from. So I got 4 Ender 3s, 2 pros and 2 just regular Ender 3s. Right now I only have 2 of them are working, but that's how it goes. One of them's really messed up. I need to get in there and solder the circuitry. I also have an Elegoo Saturn and a Frozen Sonic Mini for resin printers. So with all of that, I can definitely, for pennies on the dollar, meet my model addiction. And from the comfort of my own home. I usually order a box of about 8 spools of filament. And do that about, I was doing that once every like 2 months. Or maybe once even, yeah, about every 2 months I'd order about 8 rolls of filament. Maybe more. And just keep, those printers would go non-stop. But now I leave them off. I leave them off mostly so I can do this. And there isn't, because this is the room that I print in as well. So, I'm not just printing whatever stuff I don't need, because I got so much stuff that I'll probably never see play. Plus, I'm switching out from 28 to 15 mil right now. So I've got walls of 28 mil terrain, or 32, however you want to call it. I've got shelves of 28 mil, 32 mil figures. I've got enough stuff to do this in 28 mil. I don't know why I'm doing it in 15. Thought it was interesting. It's different, so I went with it. But I got enough stuff to do 28 mil easy. I think I went with 15 just for time's sake, so I can actually print and paint out what I need for a particular encounter. Because I don't have any of my stuff, none of it's painted. I think like 2, let's see. I'm looking at a shelf of probably like 300 minis, resin minis that I've printed, and I'd say 2 of them are painted. Yeah, that's it. 2 painted out of probably a shelf of about 300. But I've already painted 17, 16 for my 15 mil, so I'm already ahead of the curve there. So that's why I wanted to do this scale. I have no terrain painted for my 28 mil. Not a single thing has been painted. But I've already got boards. Well, other than boards, I like to, for some reason I make my foam boards, I like making them. So I've got a whole bunch of painted up 28 mil foam boards. Just all the terrain that goes on them is gray plastic. But like I said, I've already painted up a whole forest's worth of trees. Next is the canopies for those trees. I'll have to print them out though. That's a test. I have to run a test on that. Because I did the thicken up the models that I do in Mesh Mixer. I did it on those trees just to thicken up the branches so they print better. so I wouldn't have to use any supports, and it worked beautifully. I didn't have to use any supports on them, except for one tree I had to put a support on in one area. But I was able to print them all flat, right flat on the build plate. Worked out really nicely. That way, go this way. So, anyways, so much to paint. It's been about a half an hour on just brown alone. I'm not sure if it'll be quicker for the other stuff. What I might be able to do is get these base colors on, and then there's going to be a couple of things, like this piece right here. If I hold it up to the camera. Oh wow, it actually focused. Damn. It's got these, let's see, these little, right here, what I'm stroking gently. These are supposed to be like little things of fungus. So I'll come in and I'll paint those a different color. A couple of the pieces have that. So I'll paint the fungus a different color. One of these has crystals. I'll paint those crystals up a different color. Otherwise, it's all pretty much, should go pretty quickly. There's a chance I could get it done tonight. I'd really like to, because then I gotta start doing the lizard folk. Luckily, that's all I have to do now. I don't have anything else. I rolled that one roll I needed to roll. Turned out there's going to be no additional rules, which is great. Because I basically already have a full plate here. I need to start, I need to de-shelf some of this 28mm stuff because I don't have any room. I'd like to display my painted stuff because I have very few things are painted. The City of Turks. Oh, I can't wait to do that. I backed City of Turok Kickstarter some time ago, and they're still putting stuff out. Man, it's been a while since I bought. That was the first Kickstarter I bought, was that one. That was the first one I backed. That was like well over a year ago at this point. It might be 2 years now. I don't know. But anyways, they're still putting their stuff out. They're holding up their end of the bargain. They're almost done. But once hopefully I can get some good town stuff going for this game. Either a town encounter, or like I said, I can do those narrative stills, and I can paint up a bunch of the town stuff. That would be fun. Put all those buildings down to 15mm, they're easily scalable. That would be fun. It's got props too. I gotta go through those town props. Oh man, still going with brown. Probably call the stream at 2 hours. Yeah, we'll see. I do these long, rambly, boring. It's got very boring. This is the problem. This is why I want to make the edited videos for YouTube. I think people will actually watch them. I don't blame anybody for not wanting to stick around here for longer than a minute. This is not entertaining. But I'm trying to stay true to my original goal of doing a 15mm game and showing how I do it. This is all part of the process. Let's see here. Nearing the end of the pile. Almost done with brown. Yeah, I'm not so sure I'm going to be too keen on doing any more terrain for this board. This is enough, probably. It's all very specific, too. It's a lot of terrain for one cavern encounter. There can be other cavern encounters, I think. Basically, any site battles for now, until I do dungeon tiles, which I wouldn't expect I'll do anytime soon. But this stuff, these cavern tiles, this will be, the Cavern Terrain will be what I do for my site battles for now. I'd like to do a castle at some point in my 3D printing career. There's some pretty good free stuff, there's some good premium stuff I could try to pick up. And doing it at 15 mil makes it a little bit more attainable. With four FDM printers, if I can find a decent set of castle STLs that I can do that are easily scalable, I can do a pretty large castle. And that would be in a good site location, or fort even, a large fort area, be the whole board. That'd be fun. We'll see what the narrative tells. Basically, whatever my inspiration is for whatever I roll, that's what I'm going to do. So the inspiration was, the rulebook didn't tell me it was a cavern, that's just what I'm telling myself. That's where the inspiration was, saying that these lizard folk I'm about to go mess up live in a cavern, and I'm going to raid that cavern, steal all the loot. That's what we do, we steal the loot. Man. Got the 3 big uns, and then these 2. And then we can move on to the next color. Ugh. I was creeping up on, what, an hour of brown? Creeping up on an hour of brown. I mean, if I do add more terrain, it'll just be a couple pieces. That's something I can do on stream, too. Or could have done, if I wanted to do a quicker stream, is the process of making my little difficult terrain patches, if you will. These models just come with a base, basically. Running out of room on my piece of cardboard over here. Oops, did I get paint on my table? Not quite. Yeah. Wow, some of those first cavern walls are still a little bit wet. It doesn't matter, it can blend the color a little bit. It's not going to make too much of a difference. Once I do this next color is a dry brush, so by the time I get to the 3rd color, it should all be pretty well dry for the dry brush. I get no show tonight. I'll be painting until it's time for sleeping. A long day tomorrow. Watching Leftovers. I've seen it before, but I'm going over it again. I'm the kind of guy who watched Futurama 10, 20 times through. I like to watch things I know. So I'm going to go through the Leftovers again. It's a pretty cool show. If you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend it. Should grab a hold of you by, 2nd or 3rd episode. I think it was originally an HBO show. It's still probably on HBO, I don't know. It's an HBO show. Okay. Coming up on the home stretch of brown. Almost done. Almost done with the frickin' brown. Stop looking at brown and start looking at light brown. This is going to be much different. Jeez, I don't know what to put these over here again. Alright, so we'll do it like that, like that, like that. Like that, there we go. Yeah. Alright. Oh, tedium. It's especially tedious because there's nobody here. It's just me. Nobody in the chat. It says I have one viewer, but I'm pretty sure it's just a Twitch robot. Just making sure I don't flash any nudity or anything. Something along those lines is my guess. I honestly don't know. One day I'll make something interesting that people will watch. One day. But it is not this day. Been watching The Lord of the Rings and reading The Lord of the Rings too much. So I did watch the movies before I read the books. I am one of those. I wasn't always into The Lord of the Rings. I was into the Lord of the Rings card game before I got anything. It seemed quite magical when you learn it through a card game like that. And then shortly after the movies came out, so I watched those. And then I read the books. That was my progression. First was the card game, then was the movies, then the books. Now I'm listening to audiobooks. That's what I'd be doing. That's what I'll be doing tomorrow while I paint on my lizard folk. Let's see, where am I? They just left Weathertop. I think that's where I left off. Frodo is wounded. They just left Weathertop. And I'm kind of glad I watched the movies first because I get to like all of the stuff that they didn't include in the movies. It makes the book seem like almost a new story because they definitely left out a lot from the movie. No Tom Bombadil anywhere in that movie that I remember. Anyways, pretty sure there wasn't anything. It wasn't even a reference. I think they cut him right out. I liked Tom Bombadil and Goldberry. Those are some cool characters. The Daughter of the River? Like, that's crazy. Does that make her a stream? I don't know. What is the progeny of a river? Just be a branch of the river? Well, in that world, it's Goldberry. Tolkien did a cool world. The first role-playing game world builder. Tolkien. I got into the Warhammer RPG. I should look into. I'm almost positive there's a Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth RPG. There's definitely a Middle Earth one. That'd be a good one. There's a lot of lore already out there. You could play between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. It's like a ripe era for adventure. That would be fun. I should look into that. And add another book to my collection I'll never use. Like Billion Suns. Bought that book. Haven't used it yet. Printed out some fleets though. Right now it's like 24/7 Rangers of Shadow Deep. That's another game that I bought and red and wanted to play badly and never did. But a lot of this stuff will go very nicely with Rangers of Shadowdeep. In fact, that's what I sourced most of my STLs I bought because of Rangers of Shadowdeep. I was planning on playing that. So one day I'll have to play that out. But it's just the freedom of Borderlands just makes it superior. Even though I've never played Rangers of Shadowdeep, the freedom that you get from this game just it makes it better. There's no competition. The narratives I'm coming up with, instead of like having to follow a script. Now I could mess with it a little bit. I could even write my own scenarios, but like why do that? Why not just play this Borderlands and roll up a scenario and you can write around it. You get a lot more freedom. So I don't foresee myself playing Shadowdeep anytime. If I do, I'll probably go 28 mil for that. I got everything already done up in 28 mil. And that's something you can definitely, there's no random nature to it. I know exactly what's coming up if I follow the book. So I can do everything ahead of time. And then play Rangers of Shadowdeep. I could have every bit of that terrain painted up and every figure for it that I'd need ahead of time, because it's a script. I would just need to follow it. This, on the other hand, this needs to be made as I go. Oh boy, we're getting there. That's it for brown. Dark brown done. Now over here. Jeez, I got paint. That's a lot of paint on my hands. Okay, let's rinse the brush. Even though these are throwaways, basically. That's good enough. I can mix the color a little bit. It's natural rock formations. A little color mixture isn't going to hurt it. Well, actually, should make. In theory, would make it look better. I'm not sure I'm getting to the stuff I just painted. That's looking pretty wet. Alright, so that's that color. So some of those first cavern walls I did are about ready to go. Let's get rid of that plate. Get the next plate. Get a drink of water. Streaming gallon of water. I need a bit of paper towel. So now this one, I will probably get all the water out of the brush. Won't need the paper towel yet. I can shade up. If I just get most of the paint off of the brush right here on the plate, I should be okay. Alright. Bada boom. So, it came out a muddy brown. It looks fine. Honestly, I should have went a little bit lighter. It'll be fine. So, yeah, there we go. That's the money. Yeah, this will go quicker. A bit of a heavy brush. This may go quicker, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, it should. It really should. This definitely will dry quicker. And it'll look a little better once it's a little less muted, or once it's a little less shiny. Right now it's kind of vibrant. There we go. That's that guy. that's a bit much. A bit too much there. I hope this mutes down a lot more. I went a little too heavy. I don't think there's an intermediate color. This has got to be. There's some of the wet paint right there. Still, this was the second piece I started with. It's still a little bit wet. I'm tempted to run some wash down this thing. I don't know, we'll see. It's time. Time I don't have. Like Frodo and Samwise. Time I don't have. Can't be washing these walls. Gotta get my ass to Mount Doom. Man, I'm on a Lord of the Rings kick. I gotta get off this kick. What was that kick I was on before? Was Cthulhu. That wasn't right before. What was the kick right before? Oh, Wheel of Time. I'm still on that. I think I'm on book 7. But now, like, Lord of the Rings took over. I started getting burnt out. Now I'm on Lord of the Rings audiobooks. One thing that I'm not going to boycott from Warhammer will be Horus Heresy. I still haven't quite finished it, and I fully intend to finish it. I've done most of the books. I've done the first 2 of the Siege of Terror. I don't know if the 3rd one's out or if the 4th one's out or what. I haven't really looked into it in a while. But I'll read those books. I still enjoy the world of Warhammer. I just don't like the company of Games Workshop. So I'm not going to support them as best I possibly can. But it doesn't mean I don't like the world. I really like the world. I'm liking it a little less. But the Primaris stuff I wasn't a huge fan of. Lore-wise, I didn't like it. I thought there was, what's wrong with just having regular space? But they were already the ultimate that mankind could produce. Why did they have to produce the ultimate of the ultimate? It's stupid. They just wanted to sell more models and they wrote it into the lore. That's why I don't like it. It was forced. That would be my argument against Prime. Some people love Primaris, but those are probably primarily model collectors that are just, they like the lore. They're into the lore, but they're more model collectors than anything else. So they like the Primaris because the models look nice. I'd say I'm more into the lore than I am into the models. I don't like Primaris. This doesn't make any damn sense. But enough griping about Games Workshop. What else can I talk about for the next possibly hour and a half? I have no idea. I might have to go through the book and start picking out. I got my 3 threats, so I can actually look through them and see what the lowest common denominator is for model types. That was a lot of pain right there. I should have done that. And I can start coming out. If I can get ahead of the schedule, which I probably can, but if I can get ahead of the schedule, I can start filling out those encounters tables, and then I already have stuff already ready to go. So I think with my 15 mil, at least with the miniatures, with the 15mm miniatures, I'm not going to print out. I'm going to paint stuff as I print them, so I don't just come up with a huge collection of 15 mil stuff, and it's like, well, it just goes in a box and never sees the light of day again. I'm painting it as I print it as of right now for the game. So I don't really want to get ahead of myself unless I plan on printing it all or painting it all. But I mean, the benefit here is it's 15 mil, so it paints up like I did 16 figures in 3.5 hours or something. I forget what it was. 4 hours or 5 hours or something. It wasn't long. Got most of an encounter done in 5 hours, plus the initial warband. At least this time I don't have to paint the initial warband, but there's a lot of possibility to get more models throughout the site battle. So I went with 16, which is twice as many models as starts on the table. That should be good enough. Ran out of things to say. Just barreling through these minis. This terrain, I should say. It's still wet, too. I'm just going right over it. No stopping me. This one might have been too wet. Yeah, this one was too wet. I think we have to stop and wait for this stuff to dry. So I'm definitely painting way faster. Well, I guess that's terrible right there. That's a mess. That is a mess. I guess I'm gonna wait. What can I do while I wait? I think I can. I don't want to call it. I've barely done anything. I was gonna say I could call it, let this stuff dry overnight, and paint it tomorrow. Don't want to. Let's see. This stuff's wet still. I think it's gonna be wet still. Maybe get a fan in here. I missed a big spot of brown on that guy. Let's see. There's like nothing to do. I can't paint my encounter figures, the lizard folk, because I need to shake up the paint, and to shake up the paint properly I need to use the jigsaw. It's way too loud and everybody's sleeping, so I can't do that. Could put together some of those bases I was talking about. Maybe I'll do that. Or at least start it. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll let this stuff dry. This nightmare. Right there. Put you here. Hopefully you don't dry out too much. Yes, it's a good spot. Still use this piece of cardboard. So the camera. Go over how I make some of these little scenic bases I do. I have 6 small pieces. I'll do the 6 small ones I got. Alright. And what we need for this is white glue I got there. I don't need that yet. Oop, drop the mic. Drop the mic. It's got a 16-foot cord and it gets fucking tangled around everything. That's what I need first. So, like I said, these little designs I have here, I just whipped them up on Tinkercad really quick. Cat hair. I don't think I'll do any of the big ones. We'll do these little ones. Okay, so we don't need the sand yet. We do need our bitty bits box of rocks and stalactites. So we just basically just place them down. See what looks good. Yep, that's it. I'll place them all down and then I'll hair. Then I will glue them in place. Looks good. Looking good. There. Over here. Over here. Let's see. This tall one here. That's good. And then we'll go ahead and do these. I might just, these two guys right here I could just paint up and place down as is. But we got some rocks. These aren't too out of place. We got these little bits of difficult terrain. Okay, look good. Let's do that. Pull you out and put you in. Actually, these would be good. Two big ones would be good just as their own little pieces. That's basically all I need. That's big enough. Put you here. Turn you that way. One more. Yeah, you'll do. Nope, you will not do. You're no good. You're no good. You're good. Go here. Something's got to go right there. You will go right there. Good enough. Okay, close this up. That's it for you. Now we glue them down. Then they got a set. I don't really think anything's ready to paint yet. I did this too fast. Well, super glue sets quickly, so. So I did everything. So there's one problem with this. So these little bases are 0.8 millimeter thick. 4 layers at 0.2 millimeter. So the 0.8 millimeter thick. And I did all of the cavern walls and all of the other big stalactite stalagmite formations are all 50.8 millimeters, so 2 inches. So now, so are these ones here with the tops. Those are also 2 inches. So now, just these top ones are going to be slightly taller than the rest of them. Not by a lot, but just a little smidge, just an annoying amount for me. Nobody would ever notice it. But for a future game, I did it all at the same height so I could carve up pieces of foam board and make multi-levels by resting right on top of those. That should work because they're all similar, they're all even heights, or equal heights I should say, not even. They're all equal heights. Now this is slightly larger. Now I shouldn't throw it off because it's 0.8 millimeter, but you never know. Just a slightly annoying amount. I'm going to do this way. My fingers are slightly sticky from all the paint on them. So I don't even think I'm going to be painting these guys up, but I'm making them. They have been made. Unsure if I'm going to paint them. And then, so we did this. This isn't done yet, but I'm doing this. So, I would like to do, this would make some good Underdark terrain, the way I'm making it. So everything's 2 inches, so I could layer it up. And I was thinking I could do foam boards just the way I do them with that cut edge that you saw earlier. It's got that nice cut edge, carved up edge, so it's not just smooth. And I could put holes, big holes in it for the second levels and what have you. And just stack it up and make a very big multi-level Underdark area. That would look really cool. But anyways, I'm thinking for next week, no painting. I will do instead snowboard. Making of the snowboard. So I'll paint up the 2 boards because I do make my boards double-sided. So I think one. See, I wanted to do partial snow, full snow, but now I might need a desert one at some point. So I might do snow on one side, desert on the other. Alright, those are good. I want to let those dry for a minute. I didn't let that dry long enough. So these dry for a minute. Then we get the glue. Glue. Right here. Some glue. Got some sand. And right here is old crappy brushes. Throwaway brushes. I can literally do this one job and then they go in the garbage. Because I've got a whole big bucket full of crappy old brushes that are no good. Although it's starting to get it's getting a little light in there. Alright, so you were the last one I did, followed by you, followed by you. And then these 3 in some order, I don't remember which order. That's good enough. I can handle you, so let's get this on. And we spread her out. Can't really see it, but oh, you know what I could do? Should have done it with these. Too late now. I have to print more. Do underground campsites. Absolutely should do underground campsites. I got all those little camping bits. I should have done that instead of this. It's a foolish mistake. I already have. This is basically already represented. I don't need to do this. kind of too late now. I filled these up pretty well. So, next time. If I ever have... See, I don't have need for it just yet. Oh, show it on camera. I just dip it in. Here it is. Some sand on the bottom. Doesn't matter. That's you. There you go. Let's see. That's one done. And I'm going to paint it up pretty much identically to the way I painted up all this other stuff. But it's still drying. It's still got some time. Oh man, I really should have done campsites. That was a dumb move. And then sometime in the far distant future, I'm going to run an awesome Underdog campaign for D&D. Would have been fun. But that's not going to happen now. Until I make them. That'll never happen. I just need my kids to grow up. That's why I have 3 kids. I need 1 more, and then I got a decent party of adventurers. So 4 kids. My wife will never play. So I need 1 more kid. We have 4 kids. You can get away with 3, but I try not to run NPCs if I don't have to. Don't much care for NPC player dungeon masters putting NPCs in the party, unless it makes sense for story reasons somehow. But if he's just bored and he wants to be in the game, that's not, you don't just run an NPC so you get to play too. So I need another kid. That's basically what that comes down to. I need to have a 4th child. And they all better like Dungeons and Dragons. They will. It'll be like Sunday chores. Will be, instead of doing housework, they'll have to play D&D with their dad. Sunday chores is sitting and playing D&D and eating pizza with dad. Because he's crazy. Plays that old-fashioned role-playing game on the tabletop. Who does that? Future it'll be VR LARPing. Be interesting. They'll probably come up with Ready Player One style. Where's that hair come from? There'll be people out there who'll like really put a lot of work into making some cool D&D worlds for VR play. Some Baldur's Gate MMO VR D&D. Where'd all this hair come from? It's got to be in that. It's got to be inside the. No, it's on this. It's on this cardboard. I left it in the basement, which is cat country. It must have been all over it. I gotta get my goat barn right. I got goats coming. I already bought one. I bought a buckling, still buckling. He won't be ready. He won't be off the nipple for another month and a half. But I haven't secured any doelings yet, so all I have is 1 buckling. I need to get those doelings secured, but the only ones I found so far are already a year old. And they wanted me to pick them up right away, and I don't quite have the barn ready. I still need to close the barn off to the elements. Still got one wall of the roof. It's the peaked roof. So the triangle wall part of half of the peaked roof, one half, there's 2 peaked roofs and then there's 2 triangle walls. So one of those triangle walls is not closed off yet, so I gotta close that off. And I gotta fix the doors because they all settled over the winter. I had to stop doing the barn and they all settled, so I gotta go in there and fix that, and I don't know how I'm gonna do that other than rip the door out and put a new one in. Because it is real bad. The thing barely wants to open. Or I could go in there with the jigsaw and just carve it up until it works. Which might be what I do. Anyways, goat barn's not ready yet. And they wanted to sell me the goats now, so right now all I got is a buckling coming in a month and a half. And no dolings secured yet, but it's making me nervous because I want to get these dolings the same year I get the bucklings. Because one buck doesn't do any good. That's just going to be food that I have to feed it, and it gives me nothing. It'll give my kids entertainment for the summer until it becomes older and smells bad and is a jerk. But the dolings will give me milk and cheese. And soap. I'll have to learn how to make the soap though. I don't know how to make it yet. I don't really know how to do anything. I just jump in with both feet usually. I had no experience with any kind of livestock, and I ended up buying like 20 chickens one year and just built my coop right out in the backyard, bought 20 chickens, and this is the third year we've had them now. And we've successfully raised two broods of chicks from egg. So I've grown the flock. I grew it to about 40, but I had to cull it. We had a couple chicken dinners. Rooster dinners, I should say, because all I'm culling is roosters right now. I have 4 roosters. I just culled another one yesterday. So I got 4 roosters and I don't know, close to 30 hens, maybe close to 25 hens, maybe. And I'm already collecting eggs for the next batch because my hens are getting old and they're going to stop laying. So I need the replacements. Need replacement hens. So I've got like 20-something egg layers, and I don't sell the eggs. How crazy is that? I don't sell any eggs. In fact, I throw a ton of them over the fence because there's just so many eggs. Like, I don't even have a way to get rid of them. I live in a town of 900 people. Nobody's hungry here. I can't even give them away because nobody's hungry. Everybody else has chickens. So, thinking maybe end of the year, next winter, I cut the flock down a little more. I'll make a few more new hens and start eating them. It's just a pain in the butt. I've dressed up two roosters so far, and then a whole bunch just got thrown in the woods for the coyotes. But I've dressed up 2 of them, and it's too much effort that I'm not worth putting into when I can buy a $5 chicken from the store that's already ready to go. But I do have the experience, at least. Right. So I know how to do it if I need to do it. Alright. So that's one thing. Let's see how far along. About 2 hours into the stream here. It's about 11 o'clock. If this is dry enough to paint, I'll paint. Yeah, it's dry enough. Some of the stalactites are not dry enough. The rest of it looks it. So, we got that. Should have done stupid campsites. What was I thinking? I don't need more of this stuff. But I got it if I need it. Alright, so now we're doing... just blowing sand all over the floor, first of all. Okey-dokey. Let's get back to it. Where was the brush? Brush is in here. It's getting waterlogged. crummy pine or something for the handle, so of course it's sucking in the water pretty bad. But what can you do? This is free brush that came in the bottle of resin from Elegoo, so I'm using it for terrain. A little bit wet, but not too bad. I can paint over that wetness. It's fine. Okay, back to painting. There we go. Jump right in. Get this over with. Move on to the next thing, which is tomorrow night painting little minifigs. Minifigs. Okay, that's you. We might finish tonight. Not those things I just made, but those aren't even spray painted yet. They're primed yet. Those aren't going to be done anytime soon, but I don't need them. So this stuff might be ready tonight. It might be done. If so, well, I probably won't be able to put it on the table because it'll be wet. But that'd be good. That's one less thing I have to deal with. And it's just painting up the lizard folk. Ooh. Boy. You over here. I don't have enough room on my thin strips of cardboard. I have to stacks. Ooh, that's pretty wet. We'll do you. Ugh, if I paint it now, it's just gonna. Yeah, let's do. Get off a lot of the paint and just try to spread this out a little. I'll make it dry a little faster. Ugh, may have ruined that wall. I'll get back to you. May have ruined it. Maybe not. And I want to run a D&D campaign with these 15mm stuff. Got nobody to run for. I should look up online. I'm sure there's groups here. I've looked before, but not with any enthusiasm or any perseverance, so I didn't find any. But I should look again, try to find a group, because I would love to play some D&D. But until then, there is 5 leagues, which will do just fine to scratch that itch. I can do 5 parsecs too. What I could do is if this proves, see, I might get this stuff done too in time, which means, again, I'll have another week to do the next one. But if for some reason I fall behind or it takes longer and I end up switching to 2 weeks, I might do parsecs as the other week in a month. So in a month I do 2 hobby progresses, or maybe more. I could do a hobby progress every Wednesday regardless. So I could do 4 total hobby progresses and 2 actual games in a month. And I could do 1 parsec game and 1 Borderlands game, respectively. But then, that would be, in a year, I would have only gotten to campaign turn 12 on both of them. I think think I'd rather just focus on one, and in a year I can get to campaign turn 52. Or, you know, at least a little higher than 12. It's a long time to figure out what happens in a campaign. I don't think I can wait that long. Alright, let's see if we can just blast this. Not really. It's not picking up. Kinda did. This was that not quite dry one. The next stuff is not dry either, but we're just gonna blast. We're gonna push through. Alright, that's good enough. It is what it is. Okay, what do we got here? You'll be last, because you are still very much wet. Okay. You're not that wet. Do you? Do you first. Alright, let's see what we can do. I think up and down strokes, probably. Yeah, up and down strokes seems to be the way to paint this. I don't think it's showing up on camera because I wasn't on camera. And then on the top, of course. Okay, looks good enough. It's going to look a little bit monotone, I think, but what you going to do? Freaking cavern, what can you do? Caverns are monotone. Where was I? Texas? I think it was in Texas. There's some pretty awesome caves in Texas I went through. They were awesome. I forget the name of them. They're a touristy thing. I'm not from Texas. I don't have any family in Texas. I just happen to be in Texas. And checking out there. Some cool caves. I forget the name of them, but they were really cool. Actual water features and stuff. Still wet too. They were wet caves. I forget the name of them though. Wish I could remember. Somewhere near Corpus Christi, or in that general area. That's where we were visiting. My wife's childhood friend moved down there. We ended up visiting him. And they lived in Corpus Christi. And there's some caves in, where is it, Kentucky? Mammoth Caves? I'd like to visit those as well. That's as far as I got, though. I haven't researched any other places. There's nothing really in my home state that's all that significant. You'd think they would be, but I haven't really. The little bit of searching I've done, there's nothing significant. Yeah, we got somebody else popped in here. Not sure who. My hands are too covered in paint to click around on my mouse. I don't want to ruin it. I'm just gonna keep trucking on. Hopefully, I think now that I've gotten to this stage, I think I'll finish this before the end of the night. That'll be like one less thing I gotta do. So, whoever showed up, what we're doing is painting some Cavern Terrain for 5 Leagues from the Borderlands. I've got an encounter with some old kin on a quest that is on a site location. So it's a dungeon, basically. It's a dungeon. So instead of doing dungeon tiles, because it's old kin, I decided to go caverns. That is what I'm painting up now. definitely going way too heavy on this light brown than I want to. But we'll see how the end product looks. It's starting to tone down a little bit. Not really enough, but this is the first wall. So it toned down a little bit. This actually, the light from my phone is really kind of making it shine. But I think if it looks too bad, I'll make a big bath of black wash and just bathe everything in a wash. Which I might have to do, because I just definitely globbed that on. Yeah, definitely globbed the paint on that guy. This is the crystal piece, with a couple crystals in it. Don't know what I'm going to use that for, but obstacle maybe? I don't know. I might just throw it on the board to start. Getting there. We've got a couple more of these, and then we move on to the next color, which is nice. Getting there. The next color is not a brown. We're finally moving away from brown. Going on to a light or a dark gray. That might help mute down some of this bright light brown. It's too bright for me. So some dark gray ought to mute it down a bit. I went too heavy in haste. I should have slowed down, but what you gonna do? Like I said, worst case, I take some black paint, mix it in with some water, add a little bit of jet dry. You got yourself a wash. Not a high quality wash, mind you, but a wash. A good enough wash. Forgot to paint the top of this one. I did that one, okay. Alright, we got these three. And we've got these three here. And then we move on to the next color. Hurrah! Huzzah! I mean, not hurrah. Or not hoo-ah. Alright, there we go. A little gray down there. I have to cover that up. Moving fast now. The tedium is getting to me. So get these painted up, get all these base colors down, then I get to go and do some spot colors of reds, yellows, and what else I got? I got reds, yellows, greens. So I can do some spot coloring of that. Then I've got some fungus I can do on some of these bases, and that crystal, I gotta do that crystal. And that'll do it for the terrain. Ooh. Sloppy work. This is some sloppy work. Oops, stick my finger in it. Too heavy, too heavy. A little better, not much better. Okay. We'll finish by midnight, I think. He's killing me. At least, honestly, at least I'll have painted up all of the terrain necessary for this encounter in what? 3 hours? Maybe less? That's good though. Alright, good enough. Oh, no, tops and bottoms. Here. Boy, oh boy. Last one for this color. Then we move on to the dark gray. And after that, it's spot color. Then after that, I reassess and want to continue. Might be done after that. That's good. Nope, top and bottom. A little extra paint on the palette here, that's going to go to waste, but what you going to do? Okay, that's you. Brown seconds. Yeah. Next up, gray. Now, this was a dry brush, so it ought to be dry by the time I get to it. The gray. This, I need to go a little bit lighter. This is gonna, see, I don't know. Let's do test on. This we're gonna have to test if I go the dark gray or if I lighten it up a bit. This water is chocolatey. Definitely gonna contaminate with this color, but that's alright. Like I said, it's a cavern wall, I can blend it in a little bit. Ain't gonna hurt anything. Alright. That's pretty gray. Alright, let's see here. Maybe like that. I think I'm gonna need to wash this down. Yeah, do just some gray. Doesn't even have to be all over gray. That looks good. Yeah, definitely gonna have to wash though. So, got little buckets somewhere. I don't know what I'm doing. I gotta find them. I'm gonna make a big thing of black wash to put it all in and dip these models and let them dry. Dropping stuff. Let's get the gray on here first and then see where we're at. Honestly, I could leave it where it is. If I was in a crunch for time, if this was like one morning Saturday and I'm running the game Saturday night, I would probably leave it as is. But I'm not really on a crunch for time just yet. So we'll continue. We'll stay the course. This will be fast. we just want a little bit of the gray. We don't want a lot. In fact, I'm putting more on than I probably want to, but it doesn't even have to be uniform. Can go here, can go there. It's kind of what I'm. This is kind of how I'm gonna do the other colors as well. The reds, yellows, and greens. I'll just go a little bit heavier with the gray. It's a more prominent cavern color, I'd say. Yeah, the speed we're going here, we're definitely finishing by midnight. No question. So I will finish within the next 35 minutes, I'd say. Easily. Well, maybe not easy, but probably. And then I can just decide if I'm going to do a wash or not. Probably set it up on the board and see how it looks once it's dry. Then I can say if it needs a wash. Whoa, calm it down. Oh! I made a nasty little streak. Get that cleaned up before it sets. I don't want too much paint on this new table. Where are we off? You? No, you? Do I have a... it must be you. A little wet right there, still. This is easy. This is the easy part. Alright, good enough there. I'm going to do all these formations. These are a little bit wet at the bottom. Get them all on the table. Alright, let's burn through these. I'm going to come up with a second. Move the paper plates. Well, we'll need one soon, so don't move them too far. This guy's there, this guy's here. Okay. Alrighty, let's get through this, shall we? Nice and quick. say. I'm out. I'm out of ammunition for talking. Nothing else to say. Well, now things are moving faster. I guess I am getting things to say. Things are moving faster now, so. Next step here is I'm going to put the red, yellow, and green all on the palette together. And I won't wash the brush in between. I'll just go ahead and, basically what I'm doing right now, really quickly just tagging up areas, grabbing a little paint, tag it up. Let it all mix together as it will. Didn't do the top of this one. And it did the top and bottom of that one. You're done. Right, yeah, we're making good time. We'll finish this tonight. I wasn't sure, but this part right here is cruising by. I have no doubt the next part will as well. We got left 4 more. I do need to go and do the fungi though. That might not, actually that might not make it. How many pieces? 1, 2, 3, oh it's just 3. Just 3 bases has a fungus. There's some cool giant mushrooms in this set that I should probably print out. Those would be nice. But for this first encounter, this first cavern encounter is fine. The next one I can always add more to. That's kind of the idea here. As I keep adding to the collection, eventually I have everything I need by the end of what? Campaign term 52? 1 year later? Hopefully we'll have grown a little bit more than 14 followers. Would be nice. But I guess I kind of have to do better stuff if I want people to watch. That's on me. Okay, that was the last one of you. Okay, we can go ahead and just leave the brush as is. Get rid of this gray, and move on to the last stage of this one. I do need one more color, and that is parchment. I got it, but I don't, so we'll do this antique white. That's what I'll do, the fungus, and I'll whip up a quick brown wash. Just with the, actually, I might be able to just use my paint water. The paint water's pretty brown. Now I'll do a dark brown wash real quick. And, wash those down. Or maybe I'll do black wash. I'll do black wash. Alright, dry that brush off. Okay, let's get the red down. Go a little lighter on the red. The yellow. Did it too close. And then the green. This is a very light green. I should have went with a darker green. Okay, let's start with... Actually, I think do just one color at a time. Let's grab... This is where we're going to need paper towel. Grab a little red. Mix in with the gray. A little yellow. I think I'm going to need to use separate brushes. Let's see here. have to use separate brushes. The red's fine. It's already mixed with gray. That's fine. This yellow is not fine to mix with anything. And then I need it to... Ooh, some cheap-ass brushes. What do you expect for free? Yeah, there we go. Just here and there. A little bit here. But there. And just a touch of green. A little bit here, a little bit there. I would say it's about a done wall. Does not really match up with the board. Let's get the board over here now. Okay, so can't drop it down. There's our board. There's our wall. Close enough. The ground will be a little bit darker, but it blends. I would say carry on with the yellow. I don't think I need to mess. Maybe a touch of the red. I don't need to do the green. So just yellows and reds. And the green, don't need it. Maybe I do the green on the stalactite stuff. And I think I'll do all of this right now, right down the line. It's too much yellow. Feeling like I want to go the extra mile. I think I'm going to stop after this. But I could go over the whole thing with a very light white dry brush. But there isn't that much more detail that needs to come out. It's all pretty much out. I don't think I will. I'm going to leave it. Once it's done, it's done. I don't even know if I really need the red, to be honest. Yellow's good. Yellow looks good. The red might not be necessary. I think I'm going to forego the red. Just do a light yellow dry brush. Pick out some areas. This isn't even that light. It's a bit heavier than I was expecting, but looks good. Yep, I think that's it. Get a little yellow on here and we're done. Make it nice and uneven. So the red, I mean, if I wanted to go like super ultra realistic, then I'd keep going with the reds, the greens, and the whites. But I just need it to blend in with the board. So I think just with yellow, gray, and brown, it looks good enough. Home stretch here. Oh, there's more I gotta do. Forgot about the token sets. Those I gotta paint up. I need to do now is the... Ugh. These hands are covered in paint. I gotta do the token sets and the minis. I'll have the terrain done. Really done now. I can always come back and dry brush a little bit more color on them if I really need to. I don't think I do. Oh my god. Almost done. 18 minutes, I think we can do it. One more cavern wall. Yeah, this yellow helps it, I think definitely was necessary. I don't think the red and the green are really all that necessary. Okay. I think with this, I'm just going to do the actual spikes, stalactites. I won't do the bottom. And we're cruising now. Still going to put a wash down on the mushrooms. I'm going to make it real quick too. Black wash. Let's go there. Oh, and a crystal. See now, am I going to make it in time? We're moving. Nice and quick. Yeah, I gotta get these crystals painted up. They're not very smooth, so I'll do a chalky yellow. Should do just fine. Ooh-wee. Almost done. I don't even know if I'm on the camera. Barely. There we go, better. How long was I off camera? I have no idea, but back on. Ooh, that was a little heavy. See how it looks. Probably fine. Minutes will make it. This one I won't do at all. Alright, about to put the yellow down. There you are. Moving on to the last bit. I'm going to need a finer brush. Probably that'll work. You look like you'll do just fine. Okay, so now we need antique white for the... Actually, you know what? I'll just dry brush and then I don't need to do a wash. Boom. There's nothing on that. Okay, so do a heavy dry brush. All of this stuff right there. Yes. No wash necessary. Dry brush everything. This looks fungusy enough for me. Most definitely. I put too much paint down for this. Thank you. Yeah, dry brush does the trick. That's a little bit of color. That was a stalactite, whatever. This adds a touch of color. Breaks it up a bit. Like I said, as I go on, I'll get more terrain as needed. Okay, that'll be the bits of moss done. Let's brown this brush up from the water here. Next up is crystal. Crystal we need. Got white already. I just need China blue. Blue cotton. Blue cotton. It's a little bluer. Blue cotton. It's a little light. Pool blue. Yes, pool blue better. There's only one thing with crystals on it. I don't need that much. Okie dokie. These are all crystal, if I'm not mistaken. Call it all crystal anyways. Don't think I want to wash this. I think I'll leave it as is. Ooh, you know what? That doesn't look good. Let's get in there with a razor. Try to pluck some of that out. It's a bit much. It's just because it's a large flat surface. It'll show up too much. Still showing up, but doesn't matter. Close enough. Call that a crystal, sure. Done. Don't get the blue anywhere else. So the blue kind of needs to be a bit more solid. And then over here, it's a little bit more. I also need it to dry, so I can finish in time. Oh, I forgot about drying time. So, 10 minutes. We'll let it dry for let it dry 7 minutes. We'll let it dry 7 minutes. Give me 3 minutes to finish the white dry brush over the crystal. And then we'll have finished by midnight. That's my goal. Make it happen. Make that goal happen. I'm actually going to wave this guy around just so he dries faster. Okay. Clean brush. We've got 9 minutes till midnight. Need a little white on the palette. While we're waiting, I just want to do a quick test. I can use this brush. Okay, do a quick test run on what the white would look like. Is it worth it? Ooh, it's kind of worth it. Yeah, a little white would be very good to put over all this stuff. Yeah, the white does make a difference. I'll hold off for now. Looks good enough as is. We're almost done here, so put it all on the board and we can take a look. This has just got to dry. Dry faster. Dried the shit out of my mouth. Where's the camera focusing? All the way up here. Almost. Alright, I think we're good. Man, if you heard me breathing in like that on a microphone just a year ago, it would have sounded awful. My lungs sound way better now. So I've been quit now for about a year. Yeah, there's no wheeze. Or if there is, it's very light. I don't hear it, but... A year ago it sounded awful. Oops. Nothing like breaking off a piece of this and getting in the middle of painting it. And almost done. And a little bit of crystal. Do the other one and we're done. A little cartoony, but don't care. It's 15 mil. Everything's cartoony at 15 mil. That's good enough. There we go. Some nice crystal. Nice blue crystal. I don't know why it's blue, but we're done. We have painted everything on the list. Let's go ahead and remove this. Did I miss the yellow? No, I didn't miss the yellow on that. These can go over here. Oh, okay, Phil. He's out of the way. We can move over here. I'm gonna make some stalactite campsites at some point for underground camping. Alrighty. Board over here. I don't really have a... you're not going to be able to see much. Alright, we can get an okay view. You're going to see the boom that it's on, but... I don't care. That's good enough. Right there. Alright, Let's just set up some walls. You can't see. That's the edge of the board there. So it's not. Alright, there we go. That blends in pretty good, I'd say. Actually, I can leave it up if I get a decent setup. Just going random. I like these hooks to make little mini rooms. This one up here. Right there. It'll come out here. We got 3 more pieces. Where can we put them? Can't see what's going on at the top of the boards. Bring that down. We can do a nice. I got a mat on the other side. I don't want to ruin it, but dragging across all that sand's gonna mess it up. Let's go with. This. That crowds it up a bit. This is too. It's too much of a path right there. I don't like it. So go like this. It blocks it up a bit. This one can go here, like so. Like so. That's not too bad. It's not great. I might mess around with this again a little bit later. But let's do a quick. Oh, this is what we did. Nice little bit. Looks good. Now we put our stalactites basically across the edges, like so. And where can you go? Right here, maybe. This guy. Here. Just kind of breaks it up into chambers, but you can still get through it. That's the idea behind those. Upside down for you. Yeah, makes mini rooms out of the rooms. Probably gonna mess with this setup. I don't much like it. Put that here. Crystals here. This one can go here. And just put them wherever. Alright. There it is. Go ahead and take the camera in for a quick look. Plug it now. Oops. Where am I? Upside down. There we go. There's the board. There's the actual camera right there. View. Let's go ahead and put a few guys in here. Ooh, it's looking good. Don't need to add anything else because it looks fine as is, but There's those crystals. Looks pretty good, I'd say. So, there it is. Thanks for those who showed up and gave it a watch, however long you were here. And should be on track to play Saturday night at 9. I play Saturday night at 9, and I do hobby Wednesday night at 9. So, if you want, go ahead and check out the YouTube channel. It's just going to be the streams pretty much dumped over there. So, hey, it's not really worth checking out just yet, but feel free to do that. That would be pretty cool. Eventually I'm going to edit these down to a more digestible size on the YouTube channel. But yeah, there it is. Nice little 15mm cavern board. And we'll see whoever shows up on Saturday.